What is my 11th grader going to be doing this year for homeschool? We're just going to get right into it. My name is Rachel, and I have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old this year. My 16-year-old is technically going to be in 11th grade. I really loaded up his freshman and sophomore year with most of the requirements. He's just got a lot of credits already. So for this year, for his junior year, I wanted to back off a little bit and not add too much to his plate so that he might have time to work if he gets called to work, or he might have time to explore some of his own interests. You may have seen in the past, he saved money and bought parts to build his own computer. It was really more for gaming because he likes video games. He built himself a pretty fast computer. So I planned some basics for my son this year, and then I left him room so that he can also be a part of our family co-op, which I talked about in this video, and so he would have time to explore his interests. Let's just get started. If you saw my Learn Math Fast video, you saw that my son is going to be going through the Learn Math Fast system. He has already got his 3 credits for math. We did Shorman Math, so he has a credit for Algebra, Algebra 2, and also Geometry, which is technically all he needs to graduate, and all that most colleges, if he chooses to go to college, that's all that they're going to require for admission. However, if he chooses to do a business degree, for example, the colleges that I looked up near us, they get into calculus for business degrees. So I wasn't comfortable with him skipping 2 years of math because he already has the credit. I felt like he needed to just keep it at least refreshed in case he has college level math work. But I also didn't want him to do pre-calculus and calculus in case he doesn't go to college and doesn't need that, because my son does not enjoy math. The Learn Math Fast system, if you want to know more about it, check out this video here. That's all I'm going to say about that. Towards the end of that video is where I talk about the plan for the high schooler. For science, my son has 2 credits for science, which is technically 2 science credits, all you need, and he has 1 lab credit. I wanted to make sure he gets 2 lab credits because a lot of colleges might want 2 lab credits. So we're doing 1 more lab science. I assumed we would be doing biology this year. The first year he did kind of a physical science with a little bit of chemistry. He did that through Shorman Math. And then last year we did a meteorology course. You can check out this video for info there. So this year I assumed we would be doing biology, and so I was looking up various biology courses. I'm so glad that I waited because Masterbooks came out with a brand new science course for high schoolers. In fact, it's only for 11th and 12th graders, so they must consider it pretty challenging to not offer it for 9th and 10th. Or I'm guessing maybe, I didn't look, but maybe there's prerequisites in order to do this. Maybe you need some math to do it. I don't know. Why is it only 11th and 12th grade? But I asked my son, would you rather do this or biology? And he said he wanted to do this. Intro to Forensic Science. CSI stuff, folks. So if you have a student who maybe is not as into science or doesn't know, why do I have to learn about animals or chemistry, you don't have to do, of course this probably has a little bit of chemistry in it, but you don't have to do the typical science courses. In homeschool, this is what I love about homeschool. I can let my son have a say in what it is he learns according to his interests, because he's not going to learn it if he's not interested in it.
Let's just be real about that.
But if he is intrigued by a subject, he's going to retain more. So forensic science, this is CSI stuff. We love the show. In fact, in case you're wondering, good TV show recommendations. Leave me a comment below if you agree with these and let me know what your recommendations are for CSI type stuff. And I wouldn't say this is a CSI show, but we love the show Monk and we love the show Psych. Those are probably not as CSI, but the actual CSI series is a cool series. And my husband and I will also watch some real life murder investigations and stuff like that. See No Evil, where they solve a lot of the crimes by video camera. Of course, that's probably not going to have fingerprints and footprints and stuff. But our family we enjoy this sort of stuff. And so I thought, I wonder if maybe this will spark an interest in him and he'll want to pursue a career in forensic science. Wouldn't that be cool? So I will probably do a later video where I will show you more about the ins and outs of this particular curriculum. But I will just say this curriculum also, so they're going to be doing real life case studies on cold cases, or they're going to be studying some real life cold cases. For example, I saw in there JonBenet Ramsey. So he's going to read about that, and then they're going to learn a forensic science technique that has to do with that particular cold case. This is a lab science, and so this is why I had mentioned my daughters. I don't have a lot of science planned for them because I thought, and I always think this, so we'll see how complicated these labs are. I should have them do the labs with my son so that he has people there with him to do it with, so he's not alone. And then if he's doing stuff like fingerprints or the footprint stuff, I saw something in the lab kit about breaking glass, and I think I saw something too about splatter. I mean, I think my daughters are going to find this more intriguing too. And if the labs end up being a little bit too complicated for them, then I have other stuff that I can pull from. But I will talk about what they are doing in my next video. Oh my goodness, you guys, life of a YouTuber. Check out this behind the scenes video for all the things that we have to deal with. But I just realized my mic was sitting here on top of my humming computer because my computer is hot. So it was running its fan. And so if you heard a humming sound, I apologize. I went back over the video and I didn't think it was annoying enough for me to repeat everything that I just said.
So we're just gonna move on.
So for history and social studies, in the past 2 years, you know I have loved Compass Classroom, Dave Raymond's history. I love those videos. I love the biblical worldview. I just love how they do it. And I've told many of you in the comments when you're like,
Whoa, that looks like a lot of work.
it does. It could be an honors course. You could make it, if there's such thing as an honors history course, I think it could be an honors course for sure because it is a lot of work. But you can also easily pare it down. And I've told many of you, you could just do the videos and then do like the portfolio, even the tests, and you would learn so much more probably than we learned in high school history. The videos are fantastic. But we're not doing that this year because we are going to do another social studies course that I really want my son to do. Maybe we'll do Compass Classroom history again next year. But for this year, because this is a social studies credit, we are doing Compass Classroom's Economics for Everybody. Now, I will link Compass Classroom below. If you're interested in purchasing from them, please use my link so they know who sent you. I really appreciate it. I do earn a small commission if you purchase, and that really helps me, helps my family with their patience in me making all these videos for you. I printed this out. You could buy this book also, I think, as a book form, but I'm always into saving money, right? This was the only color page. Everything else in here is black and white. So I thought, save money, print the book yourself. This is by R.C. Sproul Jr. and it caught my attention a couple years ago because Compass Classroom had a little video preview of the course. And it kind of reminded me of the Dave Raymond videos in that it used, well, like for example, if it talked about the Great Depression, it used real life film reels from that era. And then R.C. Sproul Jr. speaking to you. I mean, that's what I love about Compass Classroom in general, is the video instruction. But the video instruction in most cases is not like an hour-long worth of instruction. But if you have a child who maybe struggles with reading comprehension, then that extra support from the video, visual and auditory learning could be helpful. So Economics for Everybody is applying biblical principles to work, health, and the world. If you check out on the Compass Classroom website, which again I'll link below, you can watch a video preview that gives you an overview of this course. I'm pretty sure this is only a semester course, but this is only 13 lessons, so I'm guessing it's 13 weeks. So what am I going to be doing second semester after Economics for Everybody? Last year my son did a Dave Ramsey finance course, which he really enjoyed. It was the Foundations of Finance for high schoolers. And I noticed on the website that Dave also has an Entrepreneurship for Beginners course. Since my son isn't quite sure what he wants to do with the rest of his life, as most 16-year-olds probably don't, I thought, well, we'll just introduce him to this entrepreneurship course. He likes things like economics and finance and business, like in building computers. It's not going to take a full semester. So once he finishes that, we have some more options for him. He could do the other course on Dave Ramsey that's about trying to figure out your career. There's another small course that I think helps you think through what kinds of careers you might want to look into and research more, what your skills are, what that matches up with. So that's an option. And the other thing I told him is, I want to get a website. I've played around with it myself, but Mama don't got time to figure out how to set up my own website, get started on that. I knew how to do it in college. Times have changed. If I didn't have to homeschool these kids, sure, I could set up my own website. I have the skills for that. But I thought I could give him a semester of a technology credit if he can help me get a website. I even told him, I'll pay you to be my webmaster. We'll see if he will help me with that. He actually said,
Mom, if I could set up a website for you, but you're just going to say that's not what you want.
And I was like,
That's the real world, sweetie.
that's the real world, dear. You ask your client what they want. You make a plan for them and you say,
Is this what you wanted?
and then they say,
No, it's not quite what I want. Can you change this? Can you change this?
and then you come back to the drawing board and you make a plan. Am I right, landscapers? Am I right, architects? Am I right, software developers? That's the project life cycle. And then once you figure out what they want, then you develop it. And then guess what? They may still come back and say,
Not quite what I wanted.
and you might have to tweak it again. That is life. You're not going to get it right the first time, every time. So he might have to learn that lesson because this might be required by me. We'll see. And then I could finally put my products, put things that I've created on the website, and you guys could grab them whenever you wanted rather than asking me if I have that for sale. I'm really hoping that I will be able to do some of that with my son, but I also really want to do forensic science with him, and I also have younger daughters that I want to do stuff with.
I'm going back to school this year.
I feel like, once again, I have chosen things that I either need to be involved in or I really, really want to be involved in.
Taking my vitamin supplements to keep the energy up.
But I promise on all of these things from my high schooler, I will do a review on at some point since it's a brand new curriculum to me. I want to make sure that you have all the info you would need if you are interested. Okay, so the next category that I'm going to talk about is grammar, writing, public speaking. I kind of have that all as one category. So last year my son did IEW Level C, but he got a late start on it because of the Progeny Press literature guides that we were doing. So he only got through 6 units. He's going to complete the last 3 units of that course this year. So that will be part of his writing. I'm not sure if economics for everybody, I haven't looked through it with a fine-tooth comb yet to know if this course might have a project at the end, like a term paper, like the Compass Classroom History does. So I thought if it has a paper, then he'll do that and that will be part of his writing. And then if you saw my IEW video up here with my humongous IEW haul for this year, then you know that my son will also be doing Fix-It Grammar, the Frog Prince lessons. These little daily lessons typically only take 10 to 15 minutes tops to complete. So he'll be getting his grammar in that way. And then if that's still not enough, I have a backup plan because the writing is going to end. So if he needs more grammar, writing, and all that stuff, I also have this that Classical Conversations recommends, Our Mother Tongue, a guide to the English grammar. And this is where it's just going to reinforce probably similar things to Fix-It Grammar, except for this isn't editing. This would be more like reminding how to diagram sentences and all the parts of speech. I've always wanted to do this book because of how we learned grammar through Classical Conversations. And this book, so for example, lesson 1 is all about nouns, an explanation about nouns, and then exercises to practice the nouns. Now, I'm going to cross that bridge when we get there. If he needs more grammar, writing practice, more reinforcement for this type of thing, then I'll see how I'm going to utilize this book. But basically, it's teaching a concept, and then you have all the exercises. It does say write 5 sentences of your own, underline all the nouns you use. So it talks about nouns, and then the next little section, common and proper nouns, with exercises to practice that. And then you're on to the next lesson, which is verbs. Helping verbs, linking verbs. It's really cool. This book even has a little bit of history in here on the side that must somehow tie history to grammar. So anyway, this would be a really simple book, and honestly, this book I could use with my daughters too. I did consider it this year, but I have so much other stuff planned for them. So if I don't use it for my son, you can betcha I'm going to be using it at some point with my daughters. So for literature, again, I'm going to be doing Teaching the Classics with all my kids together. This looks like it might only be an 8-week course for us to get the general gist. I know this is mainly a course to teach the teacher, but I'm totally going to go through it with my older 2. I might let my younger one sit out and work on her independent work unless she wants to sit with us. But we're totally going to just go through this together. Teaching the Classics is all about analyzing literature. They're teaching you the techniques, and then you can use those techniques to analyze any book that you're reading. This fits right in there if you are a homeschooler who likes certain elements of classical education. This is it, because this is going to teach you 5 common topics. If you've been in classical conversations, you know you've heard that before. It's going to teach you brainstorming techniques, how to have a discussion about anything. And I talked about it in that IEW video. Second semester, this is what I'm considering. First of all, let me say, I asked my college-age niece, does literature analysis really matter in college if you're getting a business degree? Because she was going for business. And she said yes. Actually, knowing how to analyze literature came up a lot. She was surprised at how often it came up. So I felt like, oh, that means I have to keep working on this with him, even though it's not his favorite thing. So I started to research, are there literature analysis courses that are specifically designed for kids who hate to read or kids who struggle with reading comprehension? And I actually found several. So I looked into several. I think one was called Lightning Literature. That's the only other one I can remember right now. But I found this one. Have you heard of Seven Sisters? They have digital curriculum online. They are all former homeschoolers that have graduated. So they're kind of more experts on high school curriculum, and they have lots of tips. Their website's a little bit overwhelming to me. But if you're going there looking for something specific, like I was, they do have lots of options there. So they had something that they created called cinema studies through literature learning. So instead of reading books to learn literature analysis, you're watching movies. So I bought Hook. I love that movie. Who else loves the movie Hook? They had some bulk study guides that you could buy a package. I cannot remember how much these were, except they were not expensive at all. I might have paid $6 or $7 for this. I mean, it's not very big either. But they had bundles where you could get a full year's course of watching movies and analyzing it. But if you buy the bundle, you don't get to choose the movies either. So keep that in mind. But I bought this as an individual. They have all kinds of individuals. What you do is, so in order to maximize benefit from this study, you need to watch the movie twice. Easy peasy. In fact, if you watched this last video, you saw that for family co-op day, I had carved out watch a movie. Because if we're doing the cinema study and we need to watch a movie, we'll just all watch it together. So you'll need to watch the movie twice. You would be wise to read over the questions before beginning. That way you know what you're looking for. And then answer the questions in the study guide the first time you watch the movie. And then you may find that for some questions you want to pause the film and answer as you watch. But for others, you may decide to write it after the credits roll. You're not required to answer complete sentences. after the second viewing of the movie is when you have a writing assignment. The guide has some vocabulary words that they talk about in the movie. It has an introduction about the movie, some introduction about verbal irony, sarcasm, dramatic irony, situational irony. So that's kind of the technique, allusion that you're going to be focused on here. And then here are the questions that he'll be answering the first time going through the movie. And there's lots. There's, let's see, 4 pages of questions. And then the second time you watch the movie, so you're using the questions to really think through this stuff. Then you watch the movie again, and you'll probably be thinking about that stuff again. And after the second time, you have a writing assignment that you can choose from. So suggested thesis statements. This says write a 5-paragraph essay exploring one of the themes or the main ideas in Hook. Choose one of these thesis statements or create one of your own. So you can use this if you don't have any ideas, or you can write about a theme that you want to talk about, but a 5-paragraph essay, which would mean make 3 points, intro, conclusion, right? Basic stuff that IEW is teaching. I just thought this might be a really fun way to help him think more critically. Some people aren't book readers, you guys. I took a college class. I don't remember what the college class was. It might have been a literature class, who knows? But the professor actually had us take a survey to find out who likes to read magazines, who likes to read books, who likes to watch movies, who likes to watch TV shows. And he divided us into groups, and that's how we did our assignment. And I remember my group was movies because I like to watch movies. Well, we were talking about relationships between boy friendships, girl friendships, and men and women friendships, and whether or not that was actually possible. And we had to choose a movie for each group, and then we gave a presentation. So for the girl friendships, we watched Now and Then. For the boy friendships, we watched White Squall. And for the boy-girl, men-woman relationship, we watched The Mirror That Has Two Faces, Barbra Streisand. But anyway, my point is even in college, my professor recognized that not everybody is a book reader. And you can still get great information and insight and deep thinking, analysis from movies too. And then the other thing I bought my son, and this I'm not really going to monitor formally. I just learned my lesson last year.
We're just going to see how it goes.
See if he's got too much time on his hands and whatnot. But if he doesn't use this year, then I have it for next year. It is digital. But I bought the Not Consumed Reading Journal. I think this is new. They have several journals here. They have one for nonfiction. They have one for biography and autobiography. So maybe if he wants to go back, he just wants to start over on John Newton and he wants to read it and then go through these exercises for autobiography, biography, these little daily journaling, critical thinking type things. Short and to the point, but geared specifically to biographies. So these would work great if you want to give your high schooler missionary stories, right? The other category they have fiction and nonfiction. But all of their daily exercises, they're different, so it's not redundant, and they're geared towards whatever type of book your student is reading. So he can just flip to the one that's going to help him. He used to, as he was reading books, try to take notes himself anyway, so he recognizes in himself that he struggles with reading comprehension. So I'm so glad that they came out with this for him. Oh, look, I only printed out the nonfiction one for him because I know my son. He's not a fiction type guy. Anyway, this is more just for a help for him, not consumed. I think you can buy these in physical format. I buy the digital because then I can reuse it again for my daughters when they get to high school, because this one is specific to 9th through 12th grade. They do have these for younger grades as well. So the last thing that I want to talk about then is our Bible plan. I plan on, for our morning time that we do all together, pretty much sticking to the same thing that we did last year because we didn't finish it. So we're just going to keep going with it. To check out what we did for our morning time, this video really shows a lot and shows a lot of detail of the tools that we were using. But I'm adding a once a week personal Bible study for me and my teens. The first semester, I'm going to be only working with my daughter, so my son can do all this other stuff I just talked about. But the second semester, both he and my daughter and me are going to be reading this book, Made in Our Image by Stephen Lawson. I have read this book before when I was in my early 20s. I don't know when this book was written. It says it was written in 2000, so it's been around a while. But the premise of this book is it's going through the attributes of God, who God really is versus how man has made him in our image. We're made in his image. We can't remake a God to be like us. And so it kind of goes through those differences, who God is versus what the culture wants to say that he is. There's a little Santa Claus hat here. That's very strategic because it talks about how they've made God into a user-friendly God who's just here to answer your prayers and give you your gifts, or like a grandfather type that when you sin, he just goes, "Oh, sweetie, you're such a kid. It's okay." You need to understand who God is as the foundation for any of your beliefs. Because if you have a wrong view of God, then what you believe has a very sandy foundation. This has no study guide to go with it, whereas the study that I'll be doing with my daughter does have a study guide to help me. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do here, but I know we're going to read it about a chapter a week, so that should be very, very easy. And who knows? Maybe learning how to analyze literature will help. And also, the reading guide. This would be something that could help him think through what he's reading for Made in Our Image. One of the last things that my son is going to be doing this year is preparing for the ACT test. He has taken it once this summer. He took it so that we would know like where he was at. Okay, let me just say this. With the ACT, I don't know how the SAT is, but where we live, the ACT is the more important test. It's really mostly about reading comprehension. If you can read and comprehend fast, then you will do well on the ACT. Know your basics of math, control your stress and basic grammar. So we're going to reinforce the math with Learn Math Fast. We're going to reinforce the basic grammar. He took an ACT class, prep class, to help him prepare. I will link that below because that class that he took it in person, but it's also online, so anybody across the country can do it. It's very good, lots of great techniques. But one of the things the instructor says is about reading books. He said that is the single most important thing you could do to make yourself more intelligent in anything, to improve your grammar. He said, read books, because you don't realize how your brain is translating. It's noticing the grammar so that when you write, you've seen that all before and you know if it looks right or not. But one of the things he said about high schoolers, why many high schoolers don't like to read, is because they're not given a choice. They're not reading anything that they're actually interested in. And so the instructor gave a long list of recommended books that he thought high schoolers might actually be interested in. I can only remember a few of the books on the list. It was pretty lengthy. One of them was called Outliers, and it was a business book. It was about people who had successful businesses by being unlike anybody else. And he said that was his #1 pick if you wanted a recommendation. I can't remember who the author is. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the description below. But my son was so intrigued. He wanted me to order the book, and he's been reading that now. One of the other books on the list was, I cannot remember the North Korean's name because she has a YouTube channel, but she was a North Korean defector. It starts with the Y, Yeshomi. I don't know, I'll link it below. But I have heard her on several podcasts. I've watched several of her videos. Her story is amazing for how she escaped North Korea, and very
wow.
She's shocked at how Americans do not appreciate their freedom because of what she came from, and even how flippant they are about communism. So she will educate on what it's really like to be in a communist dictatorship. And then the other book that I can remember that was on that list was Freakonomics. I don't know what that one is about. I just know it was on the list. So there's some book recommendations. If your high schooler does not enjoy reading and wants real life stuff. If you want to see what a day in the life of my high schooler is like, check out this video up here. All other high school content in this playlist right here. Till next time, bye.